So I wanted to talk about how your mindset is the most important factor when it comes to fitness and life in general. Your mindset is the most important thing. And I'll tell you why it's the most important thing, because if you don't have control of your mind, you're going to struggle in every aspect of your life, whether that's fitness, work, social life, relationships. If you don't have control of your mind and your mind has control of you, you are going to struggle in every aspect of your life. Forget about fitness for a minute. You will struggle in every aspect of your life, right? So having control of your mind and what you consume, what you watch, what goes into your body, all these, right, influence the way you live. The decisions you make today will have an impact on your future self, right? And this is why it's so important to control your mind. You need to have a grip on your mind, because if you don't, become a feather in the wind, right? And what happens when you become a feather in the wind is you just go wherever, right? You don't have any direction or any control over your life. And it's very important, especially when it comes to fitness, right? You need to have control and discipline over what you do. Because if you don't, like I said, there's so many distractions in this world and things to entertain you, keep you occupied, that you'll find very, very quickly that you're getting distracted from your goals, right? So for me and my journey, when I realized that I really need to get my mind in check, because I found it one of the hardest things to keep my mind in check. And it is a struggle. It is, because it's a constant battle every day, right? You gotta fight with your mind, especially if you've had a lot of bad habits. Like I had some really bad habits with food, right? Very, very bad habits with food. I had a very sweet tooth. So I'd constantly be eating cookies, sweets, chocolate, all the stuff that's bad for you, you name it. I was eating it on a daily basis because I had such a bad relationship with food and I had such a lack of discipline that I couldn't restrain myself from eating these foods. And that's what you need. You need that discipline to be able to stop yourself from eating all this nonsense, right? That's because most of what you see in these supermarkets on the shelves is all nonsense processed food. And they'll try and advertise it to make it seem like it's healthy when it's actually not. The only healthy foods you need are whole foods. That's it, period. Those are the only healthy foods you should be consuming. If you want to eat healthy, it should be whole foods, right? Like, don't get me wrong, you can throw in a few things here and there. That's maybe not whole foods. But for the majority of your meals, they should be whole foods. If you want to achieve an aesthetic physique, you need to be eating whole foods, right? And you just need to have that discipline to eat the whole foods. Because when I first started eating whole foods, I found it very, very difficult, because I thought to myself, oh, this is boring, this, that, and the other. I used to be a chicken, broccoli, and rice guy, right? I just thought, oh, if you want to get in shape and have a good physique, you just got to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice. Right? That's what I used to think. And I didn't put any seasoning on that either. So it was like torture, right? But you can add seasonings to your food. You don't have to eat plain chicken and rice, right? You can add some flavorings, you can add some seasonings, right? You can make healthy foods taste good. You can, believe me, because I do it every day, right? But you need to be eating whole foods if you want to get in shape and stay in shape. and you need to have the discipline and the consistency to be eating them every day. You don't just eat them during the week and then think, oh, I was good during the week, so on the weekend I can eat what I want. And then you're just going to reverse all that hard work you've put in during the week. You're just going to reverse it at the weekend, because now you've gone and consumed like over 10,000 calories on the weekend, right? Which sounds like a lot, but it's very easy to do. So this is why you need to be locked in. You need to be locked in. You can't just eat healthy during the week and think, oh, on the weekend I'm gonna drink, eat takeaways, binge. But it's fine, because during the week I ate healthy and I got my steps in. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. If that's what you're gonna do, you're already set up for failure. Like I said, you need to be locked in. The weekend is just another day, right? If you're 20, 30 pounds overweight, you don't need no cheat days. You don't need no cheat days. You don't need no refeed days. You don't even need a maintenance day. You need to cut that fat off. Once you can see your abs, you can think about having a maintenance day or a refeed day. I don't like to call them cheat days. If I have a cheat day, it's more of a refeed day, right? But if you're severely overweight, you don't need none of that until you can see your abs. Then you can treat yourself maybe, but you don't need none of that. When you're trying to cut down on these bad foods and you're trying to strip off that excess fat, you don't need to be throwing in cheat days, maintenance days, all this stuff until you get down to a low body fat percentage. Then you can think about that stuff. But up until then, you don't need to worry about that. So like I said, you need consistency, you need discipline. It's not an easy journey. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. Yes, you're gonna get hunger pains, but you just have to push through it. This is where the discipline comes into play, right? I don't think there's a single person that's gotten lean, right, that hasn't had some sort of hunger pains. If you can't handle being hungry, then you need to grow up. Like, there's no two ways about it. You need to grow up. You need to grow up, and you actually need to just ride it out, because no one's got lean without feeling a bit of hunger pains or maybe going to sleep hungry one day. That is just part of the process. That's part of the journey. You just got to get used to it until you reach your goals. You get where you want to be. And then once you get to the certain body fat percentage that you want to obtain, then you reverse diet and lean gain. That's what you do, right? If you want to maintain your physique, because yes, you can cut and you can get lean, but then it's getting lean and staying lean, right? So a lot of people know how to lose weight, but a lot of people don't know how to keep the weight off. That is what I struggled with personally in my journey. Is I knew how to get lean, but I didn't know how to stay lean, because every time I got lean, I put the weight back on again. So I would say the actual diet coming out from a cut is actually more important than when you were cutting, because keeping the weight off is going to benefit you greatly, because you don't want to put in all this work, because it is quite a long journey when you're cutting. You know, depending on how much weight you have to lose, it's quite a long journey. So you don't want to go through all that feeling uncomfortable, you know, during that whole process of your cut, to then only put all the weight back on, right? So you need to stay locked in, stay in a deficit, and reverse diet and lean gain. Stay locked in.